The beta for Battlefield 2042 is over, but how did it go down and what do I think of it? Well, in this video, I'm going to let you know exactly that. So the first thing we are going to talk about is game performance. Very important, especially after the whole Cyberpunk fiasco that we had, where that game had a lot of hype too, about it being beautiful, and obviously it ran like crap even on high-end PCs. So game performance on this one is beautiful. Even on medium settings on PC, this game is gorgeous. Now I do have a bit of a good PC, so I can kind of get a bit more out of it. So yeah, I played it on Ultra, and Ultra was nothing short of delightful. Absolutely delightful. Honestly, the game just looks amazing. The preset I used in the end was high, but the difference between them is barely noticeable, but you do get an extra 10 frames or so. All that basically meant for me is that if I wasn't streaming, I was on Ultra. If I was streaming, I was on high, and on both occasions, I'd be averaging around 75 to 85 FPS. At 1440p. Now that is on an RTX 3070 and a Ryzen 3900X, if you are wondering. Obviously miles above the minimum specifications, but I thought with the minimum specifications that the 3070 would struggle to do 60. But it doesn't. It's doing the highest settings and at higher than 60 frames per second frame rate. So yeah, really happy with that. Now, people do mention that there is occasional micro stutters in the game. Now, I've noticed this on people who have installed the game onto a hard drive. Anyone who's had the game on an NVMe or an SSD doesn't seem to have micro stutters, and if they do, it's only when loading in the map for the first time in a session. So if you don't close the game's still in your RAM, and you're flicking between different lobbies. Obviously it's the same map, so it doesn't flicker in, so it's all good. Once it's done it, once you've gotten that first game and you do your first little 100-meter sprint, you'll get your little micro stutters there, but they will go and they will not return. But performance on the whole, really good. Game didn't crash on me, which is really nice. And yeah, although there were a few bugs which we'll get around to later on, I feel as if these things are easily ironed out. That's the point of the beta. So yeah, I'm really impressed. So game performance, I'm going to go and give an 8 out of 10. Now, the game looks better than Warzone. It looks better than Warzone. It runs faster than Warzone for equivalent settings. So if you want to make the game look like Warzone, you're going to be having frames for days. And also, you don't need any filters or anything to make the game look good. And the color palette's really nice on this map. So yeah, I'm going to give this 8 out of 10 for performance. I would give it 9s and 10s if it was just better optimized. But I am really nitpicking there. But you got to bear in mind, I'm coming from games like The Witcher 3 as well on PC, which is like super well optimized. He had settings and graphics that looked absolutely unbelievable and still actually had quite decent frame rates to boot. So yeah. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the gameplay. The gunplay, should I say. There's multiple aspects of the gameplay, but the gunplay we're going to come into next. And we'll start with gun feel. So gun feel, all the guns do feel really strong. Recoil seems fair, and everything seems to have its place. You can find a place with the marksman rifles. You can find a place with the ARs, the submachine guns, if that's how you're going to play. The only thing that didn't really have a place in the game was the shotgun that they gave you. Didn't really dig that too much, but the likes of the K90 and the other SMG, they were alright. They were really good if you knew that you wanted to play in short-range encounters, if you wanted to play at the B tower, or if you wanted to play inside the ins and outs of the E objective. So yeah, I actually do think that all the guns were really well. I love the fact that you've got that little T menu, or whatever they call it, where you can just change your attachments out on the fly. Now, one thing that many people didn't notice is that each of those ammos that you get, they give you a different pool of ammo. So for example, on the DM7, we've got 3 ammo types we can use. We can use the standard, we can use the long range, and we can use the armor penetration. Each particular mag has its own ammo pool. So it's not like you're going to have 90 bullets and that's going to be for all of them. No, each one has 2 mags in it. So that's essentially 2, 4, 6 mags for each one. So if you run out of the normal mag, switch to the AP, and then switch to the long range for the other one. But what I did notice with the DM7, just this is just an example, is that the stock mag that you got did give you a higher rate of fire than the long range mag, and a few more bullets too. Now, this isn't stated in the gun stats, but the change is there and it is quite evident. So just be aware that these stats don't quite align what it says. I've noticed, because there seem to be stats that you aren't made aware of. Same for the majority of the guns. The longer range weapons have either a slightly lower rate of fire, or have some other drawback like more recoil, but doesn't tell you as well. So yeah, just something for you to bear in mind when you're using the game and getting used to it when you do buy the game, if you do buy the game. But the gun balance does feel quite fair. There was never a moment where I thought that's overpowered. The only time I'd be absolutely melted by an SMG would be when I'm in an SMG's face. I didn't find myself getting blared down by an SMG like at 60, 70 meters that can often happen all the time. And God, the snipers were really... I don't think it gave you a good sniper, to be fair. The bullet velocity was quite slow, but I imagine that there would be attachments to pick that up. I would have liked to see in the zero in scope as well. So if you don't know what that is, that's essentially where you press a button and it zeroes in your scope, meaning your bullet will hit the middle of, the middle of the reticle. So you don't have to predict where the bullet drop is. So if you know where the distance you're going to be aiming, you'd press your button, you'd zero in the scope, and then the button with that range is for the middle of your crosshair. So yeah, I would have liked to see that on the sniper. That would have been really nice, but it's been in all the other Battlefield games, so I've got no doubt it'll be in this one too. So yeah, bullet velocity was a bit slow for the sniper they gave you, but it's fine. You tend to get slower bullet velocities in Battlefield games, which on the whole makes it really satisfying to kill people. Like all the guns felt balanced. All the guns felt as if they had their place, minus the shotgun. And it felt really satisfying killing people. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the sound or just like obviously how smooth it is or how the ragdolling works. But just dropping people in Battlefield is a really satisfying experience, no matter what gun you're using. So yeah, I really enjoy that. Now, another aspect that I did enjoy about this game as well is the vehicles. Usually when a game uses vehicles, it usually takes away from the experience rather than enhancing it. But I feel as if Battlefield has got this right. Now, in the last Battlefield game, I felt as if vehicles was a bit much. It kind of ruined it because there wasn't really that much you could do to fight against them. Whereas in this game, you can. So, in this game, if someone's bothering you with a helicopter, just equip that auto missile, and you can just beam it out the sky. Yes, they have clusters, but the pilots are wanting to save them for the aerial battles. So, if someone starts picking on you with a vehicle, you can start firing launchers at them, and the launchers do hit quite hard. And then another vehicle, if they're in a fight with them, it's a significant advantage. If someone else is shooting at them from another helicopter or another jet or whatever, and you're making them pop their flares for your rockets, you are giving your own teammate a significant advantage in that firefight in the jets or in the planes or whatever. Like straight up, like if you're making that difference, it all adds up. Because even if you don't get a kill in Battlefield, even if you're not the person that blows up a vehicle, you feel as if you played a massive part when it does eventually get yeeted to oblivion by somebody else. You know, so it's really good because it makes you feel like you've done it as part of a team. Like in COD, for example, if you blast someone's armor and then someone else next to kill, you don't feel as if you got that kill. You don't feel as if you earned that. You don't feel as if your teammate earned that either. Whereas in Battlefield, you do. Like, many times when you're shooting at people at range and then somebody else finishes them with another shot, it feels like a team effort every single time. No matter if it's on foot, car, vehicle, like air vehicle, really, really good. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. Another thing as well is that the vehicles are quite difficult to fly, in my opinion. Now, I did figure it out in the end. You can use the arrows on the right of your keyboard to actually help control it. And the way I kind of taught myself to do it is the WASD, or left analog, is like the left pad on a drone. I've flown drones before in real life. I fly them quite often, actually. And the arrows is obviously what the right pad on a drone would be, or the right analog stick. And once I kind of figured that out, it was a bit easier to fly. Although, when I've flown a drone in real life, I've never had to fire things from it. So, I've still got to get the aspect of actually flying them and shooting things out of them at the same time. But I think with practice I can get there. But yeah, flying things in this game, if you haven't done so, it will take some getting used to. But think of it as flying a drone. Maybe even buy a drone if you want to get a bit of an advantage in early, because they're quite fun. But yeah, it adds depth to the game, and it doesn't add things to the game while making them OP. They have their balance, so that's really good. Now, shooting in them does need touching up. Now, I noticed that when you were inside a jet and you were shooting, or inside a plane or a helicopter and shooting things, you had to have a teammate in there. If they were shooting as well, it would look like their hitbox was outside of it, so you could see them like just sitting in the open, which is really strange. So I hope that they do patch that out. Not gameplay breaking, but it does ruin the immersion. So I do expect that to get patched out and fixed, because other Battlefield games don't have that issue. So, but like I said, this is what the Battlefield beta is for. It's to find these little issues and fix them. So hopefully they'll sort that out and things will be good. Connecting to a game didn't take long either. Connection was really good when I was in the games too, so I'm really enjoying that aspect. But the thing is about the vehicles, whether you're flying them or just shooting them or shooting from them, it's really fun, and it adds so much depth to the game. Really good. Now the other aspect I want to talk about is the team play. Now, though you don't really appreciate it in the beta, the game will have your usual classes in a Battlefield game: the Assault, the Medic, the Engineer, and the Recon. Usually you get like a couple of abilities that you can equip to them in menus, but in this one you only get set loadout. So for example, Engineer can usually build stuff and really quick, whereas obviously you can't really do that. That feature is quite clearly being turned off in the beta, because it says you can do it in the description, but you can't do it in the game, in the beta. So that feature will be there. Assault, I'd imagine they're going to have their own little perks as well, and it looks like they do have perks that you can equip to each class too. So for example, your Assault, you've got that strafe and faster while aiming down sight. I'd imagine you can replace that with something else Assault related as well, and the same goes for Medic and Engineer and Recon and stuff like that. So yeah, I think although in the beta it didn't encourage on foot team play as much, even though that we had people on our teams that would switch out using the munitions box, and then someone else would use a rocket launcher for the jets, and someone else would be like a medic, and someone else would be like we would be sniping. So we did have a good dynamic with what we had, but I feel as if so many more dynamics can be added when they start actually implementing the full loadout class system in the game. It was quite obvious that was pegged back just for the sake of the beta. So really looking forward to see how they utilize that. So on the whole, it's a bit rough. Well, in terms of like the immersion breaking things, but apart from that, it's a really, really, really good game. And if they patch this up and they get rid of these tiny little bugs, I think we're on to a winner here. I really do. I think this is going to be I really do think this will be one of the better games of the decade. I think this is going to be the classic for the younger generation. COD 4 was our classic, the original. I really think that this could be the classic for the generation to come. I really do, because Warzone doesn't look like it's heading anywhere spectacular. Vanguard looks about the same as Cold War, to be fair. Okay on the surface, but once you dig down to a deeper level, it's easy to find fault. Whereas I think this game is going to be absolutely amazing based on what I've seen, and I can't wait for it. If this momentum keeps up the way it's going, this will be a Battlefield channel. So yeah, obviously I would still play Warzone as well and still stream that, but I think in terms of what my game could be, I think it's going to be Warzone. Not Warzone. I think it's going to be Battlefield if it holds it up. I think the main thing for me regarding that, if it brings out a battle royale with the same mechanics it's got, and just obviously without vehicles, because that would be a bit unfair. Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that would kill Warzone. I really do. If it doesn't have a battle royale map, then I think it's going to be a fantastic alternative to Warzone, and I think it's going to be really enjoyed by millions. So yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. But what do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comment section below, because I actually want to know what you guys are thinking about it. But yeah, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.